Children with autism in the classroom. Disconnected. Australia-wide, students with autism spectrum disorder, or autism, face a great disconnect with their teachers and lack a sense of belonging in the classroom. The lack of social skills for many individuals with autism does not contribute to an effective learning environment and is linked with poorer academic performance. I will explain and explore potential models for improving student-to-teacher relationships in the classroom to enhance the learning environment for students with autism. In 2015, a survey performed by the Australian Bureau of Statistics showed an estimated 164,000 Australians had autism. This is a 42% increase from the 115,000 in 2012. 83% of respondents to the survey reported experiencing difficulty at their place of learning. Of those experiencing difficulties, the main problems encountered were fitting in socially, learning difficulties, and communication difficulties. More than 44% of children indicated they needed more support or assistance at school than they were receiving. Current systems and procedures do not meet the needs of students with autism. Studies have shown that poor student-to-teacher relationships are directly linked with poor academic outcomes and poor behavioural outcomes. Research has shown that without appropriate interventions, poor student-teacher relationships will remain unaltered and unimproved. This is a nationwide issue that must be addressed with urgency. Blacker, Howell, Lauderdale-Lytton, Reed, and Laurgeson used a tool known as the Student-Teacher Relationship Scale, outlining how teachers perceive their interactions with particular students. The scale is broken into 3 subscales. The conflict subscale uses questions with phrases such as struggle, battle, and fight. The closeness subscale uses questions with phrases such as affectionate and having open communication. And the dependence subscale considers the level of student independence or over-reliance. Results showed that the total student-teacher relationship score for children with autism was significantly lower and thus weaker than the typical development group. Children with autism showed lower scores of closeness due to weak social skills and higher scores of conflict due to behavioural issues. The Social Responsiveness Scale, a quantitative tool used to assess the severity of autistic social impairment, revealed that students with higher severity of impairment presented less closeness with their teachers. From this study, we can conclude that poor social skills cause a lack of student-to-teacher closeness and cause higher incidence of conflict in the classroom. 2 years later, Kaplan, Feldman, Eisenhower, and Blacker suggest that high-quality student-teacher relationships are linked with positive academic and social behavioural outcomes. Their study found that without intervention, low-quality student-teacher relationships would remain unaltered and unimproved. Kaplan and colleagues found that social skills and cognitive ability were directly associated with both student-teacher conflict and student-teacher closeness. Interventions to improve child social skills could thus foster greater student-teacher closeness by creating opportunities for improved student-teacher relationships. One outstanding feature of this research was the discussion highlighting that teacher level of training was not linked with student-teacher relationship. However, years of teaching experience was. The report concludes agreeing with the prior Blacker study to say that work to improve children with autism social skills will hopefully lead to more positive and reciprocal interactions with teachers. However, further research showing causal factors is required. Credibility of this research could have been enhanced with observational classroom assessments that may be used to collect more accurate, unbiased data. Overall, poor social skills and poor communication skills affect a student with autism's ability to feel belonging in the classroom. Federal policy supports the inclusion of all people to have equal opportunity in the classroom. The Disability Standards for Education of 2005 are formulated under the Disability Discrimination Act of 1992. The primary purpose of the Disability Standards for Education is to clarify and make more explicit the obligations of educators and the rights of people with disabilities under the Disability Discrimination Act. The objects of these standards are to eliminate discrimination, to ensure equality, and to promote recognition of people with disabilities. The standards go on to outline that educators are required to make reasonable adjustment to procedure and the environment as long as changes are seen with balancing benefit to all parties. To consider reasonable adjustment, educators must consider the student's disability, the views of the student and their associates, the effect on the student, the effect on others, the costs, and the benefits. Overall, the Disability Standards for Education of 2005 exist to guide and support teachers' decision-making and evaluation for the inclusion and acceptance of students with disabilities in the classroom. The guidelines of reasonable adjustment provide an effective means for educators to ensure that any changes made are of balancing benefit to all parties. Laugerson, Ellingson, Sanderson, Tukey, and Shannon completed a study to evaluate strategies for teaching and improving social skills for 73 adolescent students with autism in a private school. Laugerson and colleagues implemented a daily 30-minute routine using the PEERS program for the education and enrichment of relational skills. Conversational skills, developing friendship networks, and resolving arguments are the key elements within the PEERS curriculum, aiming to aid students with autism with understanding social interaction in a consequence-free space. The results reported great success in use of the program to significantly improve social interaction, particularly in the areas of improved social motivation, social awareness, social communication, and decreased autistic mannerisms. These improvements have clear direct links to the prior discussed 2014 Black study and the 2016 Kaplan study. It is suggested that less presentation of autistic mannerisms would be linked to an improved student-teacher relationship. My criticism of this model is the need for teachers to allocate 30 minutes of every day to the program, potentially detracting from other essential curriculum focuses. The other issue with this model is it requires extensive staff training and a whole school approach, which may not be achievable in public schools. Planick, Cade, and McFarlane present video-based group instruction. Each session used a 10-minute instructional video combined with 30 minutes of direct instruction and 10 minutes of observed performance in small groups. The program focused on 3 domains: accessing preferred stimuli, demonstrating social awareness, and obtaining social attention. The program was implemented in a public school with 4 individuals, all presenting poor ability in the 3 identified domains. Results revealed rapid acquisition and maintenance of all skills instructed. Post-testing at 2 weeks and 4 months after showed highly successful results maintained for 3 of the 4 students. The advantage of this model, although only anecdotal in its results, is that the video-based group instruction program is achievable within a public school setting. Overall, I believe the type of support provided to students with autism would depend on the needs and resources of the school. When considering a theoretical model of disability, I must compare and contrast the medical model and the social model. The medical model defines disability as a medically diagnosed impairment of bodily functions or structures. The social model defines disability as a social construct imposed on impairments by society. The medical model focuses on fixing the disability to normalize the individual, while society remains the same. The social model advocates for the evolution of society to decrease environmental limitations and increase understanding of individuals. A teacher subscribing to the medical model sees failed student efforts as the fault of the student's disability. A teacher subscribing to the social model sees failed student efforts as their own fault because of failed adaptations to the environment, lesson structure, and their attitude. The medical model would keep beating the drum without alteration to material or method of instruction. The social model would ask for students for feedback on delivery and adjust to whatever methods work for them. The intervention training aims to normalize students while society remains the same. The medical model may have limitations and potentially be seen as disempowering for individuals with disabilities, but I believe, as shown by numerous studies, both teacher and students can stand to benefit from enhanced social skills in the classroom. I believe social skill and communication training can empower students with disabilities, giving them the tools to build their own relationships and to create their own success in the classroom. Upon reflection, my own strategies for aiding and empowering students with autism in the classroom are centered on an increased understanding and an evolution of my own perspective. As a pre-service teacher, I am now aware of the challenges commonly faced by children with autism and believe I am aware of some potential strategies to help these children interact socially in everyday life. I will aim to integrate in any form the instruction of social and communication skills. I will now be positive, constructive, and understanding when giving feedback, and I will now enact proactively inclusive practice. Overall, I believe intervention strategies to improve the social and communication skills of students with autism have the power to improve their learning ability and their sense of belonging inside and outside the classroom long into the future. Thank you. Here are my references. Thank you very much.